This $15 trillion industry, one of the largest on the planet, responsible for 10% of everything the world makes, still runs on PDFs, emails, and drawings. Every other major industry digitized decades ago, but construction couldn't. Not because the people were lazy, because the problem was structurally impossible to solve. And then it got solved by accident. This video is based on a discussion I had with Alain Waha. He's the Chief Technological Officer at Bureau Happold, a global engineering firm with 3,500 people and 30 offices worldwide. They've worked on some of the most complex buildings and infrastructure projects on the planet. And this is someone running a technology for a firm that actually builds things. So here is what you need to understand, and it's not a surprise to anyone watching this, but it's important to note because it sets the theme for this video. Every other industry, banking, retail, manufacturing, digitized decades ago. They put their information into databases, they built systems, they created a shared language so that computers could talk to each other. And construction never did that. And it's not because people didn't try, it's because the structure of the industry makes it almost impossible. 90% of construction companies have fewer than 50 people. Every single project is basically a temporary team, dozens of different firms, different trades, different software, different standards, all coming together for one job. And then dissolving when it's done. It's like trying to get 100 people who all speak different languages to build something together with no translator, which then leads to errors, confusion, and legal disputes. And for decades, the industry's answer was, let's create one universal digital language. Let's get everyone on the same system, the same standard, the same way of describing things. One language for everyone. It never worked. It was never going to work.
We're still the least digitized industry. And, it's quite fundamentally interesting that when they try to explain this, they always came back to the Tower of Babel. And they always came back to say, the problem of the Tower of Babel became so big, and our industry is that big, that people stopped being able to, and then we hear it's siloed, etc., right? How would you solve the Tower of Babel problem today? Would you try to get everybody to speak Esperanto? Or you would collect them to Google Translate and make an LLM work?
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the solution didn't come from inside the industry. Nobody in construction built this. What happened is that large language models, the same technology behind ChatGPT and Claude and the tools millions of people are already using, turned out to be the exact thing construction needed. Think about what an LLM actually does. It reads and understands language, documents, contracts, specifications, reports. And construction lives in documents. It always has. The entire industry runs on written information, drawings, PDFs, emails, specs, contracts. So instead of forcing the entire industry to change how it works and adopt some universal system, which was never going to happen, the technology just came down and met the industry where it already was, finally. And this is probably the most important point in this entire video, so stay with me here.
Yeah, we had this vision that, the way human builds needed to be moved into the way computer thinks. And now we've actually created technology that approximates how human can think and read.
And there's the thing, we've barely started. That's what's mad about this. We're sitting here in 2026 talking about large language models like they've been around forever. But in construction, this is brand new. Most firms still haven't even scratched the surface. And even most of the tech and AI players are still figuring it out. And unlike the old digitization playbook where you needed massive budgets and enterprise systems that only the biggest companies could afford, this technology is accessible to everyone. A 50-person contractor can use the same AI tools as a 3,000-person engineering firm. That has never been true before in this industry. We are right at the beginning, and what comes next is going to move very fast. Now here is my favorite part of the conversation with Alain, because it's finally someone talking positively about what AI can do, and not the doom and gloom we see all over social media. Right now, if you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, or anywhere online, every single piece of content seems to be AI doom and gloom. Jobs are disappearing, SaaS stocks are crashing, white-collar workers are panicking, it's game over, the world is ending, and then you sit down with a CTO of a 3,500-person engineering firm, someone actually doing something, and he said something you genuinely don't expect. He says, we're blessed.
Are we doomed or are we blessed? And I think as engineers and as participants in the built world, I think we are blessed. We are given a new concrete, we are given a new steel. Remember, last time the built environment really changed was Brunel, right? We got steel and we could go up. We got electricity and we could light our spaces. We now have silicon.
Think about that framing for a second. Steel let us build upwards, electricity let us light our spaces, and now silicon, AI, lets us actually understand and manage the complexity of what we're building. And unlike a SaaS or services company where AI might genuinely replace your workforce, construction still needs to physically build things. The demand is real. There's a 1 million home shortfall in London alone, and there's a massive global labor shortage, 400,000 in the US, and there's simply not enough people to do the work. We can't build net zero buildings at an affordable cost, and projects are chronically late and over budget. These aren't problems AI makes worse. These are problems AI can finally solve.
It's a miracle to have managed to create such complex things with such high price and such number of people and parties involved, and just have used pen, paper, tablets, PDFs and drawings. Try to run BMW on PDFs. I don't think you'd get the same product output.
The last time the built environment was truly transformed, we got steel and electricity. That gave us skyscrapers and cities that could function after dark. Now we've got silicon, and the people who lean into it, the engineers, the builders, the firms that treat this as a generational opportunity rather than a threat, they're not being disrupted. They're being handed the tool the industry has been waiting for. This is a tiny snippet from one of the best conversations I've had on Bricks and Bytes for a very long time. The full interview with Alain is linked below. I'd highly recommend watching the whole thing. And if you found this useful, please subscribe. We cover topics like this and more, exploring the future of the world's least digitized industry.